370 days, 11 hours, and 32 minutes. This is how long we've been without even the tiniest nugget of Fancy Pants news. That was until our Lord and Savior, Two Left Thumbs, rose down from the heavens and gave us the Fancy Pants Classic Pack trailer. That's right, very recently on July 15th at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time, a YouTuber by the name of Two Left Thumbs officially unveiled a trailer for the Fancy Pants Classic Pack, a collection of almost every Flash release in the series so far, as well as the Fancy Pants World 1 Remaster, which was released on itch.io fairly recently. Overall, this collection does look pretty neat, and will definitely be a great way for people to re-experience these classics in a whole new way. Even though these games are just straight up re-releases, I thought it'd be fun to analyze everything from the trailer itself, and even some unmentioned details found on the game listing on Steam and other places. I'll also be discussing my personal, unfiltered thoughts at the end of the video, to reflect on whether it's even worth buying or not. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right off the bat, it's probably important to know that this trailer isn't the first time you've heard of the Classic Pack. That's right, the first public mention of this game by the creator of the series, Brad Bourne, was on June 26th of last year, where he casually talked about the game in the official Fancy Pants Discord. The Patreon supporters of Brad also have access to an exclusive playable build of the game, but it hasn't been updated in a year, so it's missing quite a lot from the things shown off in the trailer. Hey, speaking of which, what's even in that trailer? Well, I'm glad you asked, because that's what this whole video is about. The trailer starts off with a sequence of the first two games being played on various Flash gaming websites, ranging from Newgrounds, Armored Games, Congregate, and many others. This whole sequence is really just meant for visual flair to set up the actual reveal, so I won't analyze each individual website that's played on here, for the sake of your own sanity. We then cut to a segment showing the opening cutscene of Fancy Pants World 3, which we can see is now in full screen and isn't running off a web browser anymore. This also reveals that these games aren't actually full-fledged remasters of the original games, and subsequently won't be running at a 16:9 resolution, which was also confirmed by the publisher in his Discord server. After a few more segments of the trailer, we then see a reel of every game that's included in the Classic Pack, which is the first time that all of the games included in this collection have been revealed entirely. This list consists of Fancy Pants World 1, the World 1 Remaster along with the remix, World 2, World 3, and last but not least, Fancy Snowboarding. Although this is a hefty amount of games, this is far from having every game in the series. One of the releases it doesn't include is the Fancy Pants Adventures for console and mobile, and I think the name itself is a dead giveaway as to why it's not included in this PC collection. There's also the Steam game called Super Fancy Pants Adventure, which also makes perfect sense that it's not included. The game released at $10 US and is available on Steam right now, so there's literally no reason for it to be here. There's also a downgraded Flash port of the game called World 4, and although it is a Flash game unlike the other games I talked about, its exclusion also makes perfect sense. However, the one release that doesn't make all that much sense to leave out is the World 1 Remix. What do you mean? We can clearly see the game mentioned in the trailer right here. I know, it can be a bit confusing, but this is actually a completely different World 1 remix. The game in this trailer was released alongside the World 1 remaster, which means that this remix here is actually a remaster of the original version. The version that isn't included was released on Flash a while ago, and plays a lot differently. It seems to have just been phased out with the remastered version, which does make a bit of sense, but I don't know, it's still a bit sad that it's been left out. But moving on, there aren't a whole lot of important things left in the trailer, until the very end when we get a logo reveal, as well as a mention of the game now being up on Steam. Speaking of the Steam page, why don't we go take a look at the details over there? Right, so when opening up the page, we can see that the game is being published by Two Left Thumbs, which clears up why the trailer was released on that YouTube channel, rather than the channel of the actual creator of the game. And if we scroll down a bit, we can see that there's no planned release date or price for the game as of now. However, these details are actually available elsewhere. In the description for the trailer on YouTube, it's stated that the game is set to release sometime this year in 2021. And for the price of the game, it was also confirmed by Two Left Thumbs in a forum post that it'll be $9.99 USD, the same price as Super Fancy Pants. In the actual description of the Steam listing, it talks about everything we discussed so far, but it also lists off some quality of life improvements that weren't mentioned at all in the trailer. These include Steam achievements, multiple language options, controller support, and my personal favorite feature, 60 frames per second support. All of these features are very welcome additions to the game, but I really want to focus on that 60 FPS part in particular here. Now, in case you don't know, the original Fancy Pants World 1, 2, and 3 only run at 30 frames per second, and an installment in the series wouldn't get 60 FPS support until the release of the World 1 remix. This means that the games would have to be majorly tweaked in order for them to run at that speed, and would most likely require a lot of animations and such to be redone completely. At first, when I saw that this trailer was only 30 FPS, I got a bit confused, but when asking Two Left Thumbs on our Discord, they clarified that all the footage in this trailer was actually not recorded on the Classic Pack, and was instead recorded on the original games. This of course means that any of the footage here is likely subject to change when it officially releases. Before moving on, I want to cover a couple other features that are mentioned in a Discord livestream done by Brad on July 9th of last year. Unfortunately, the stream hasn't been archived, but since I was there, I can talk about what was mentioned. Basically, Brad was fixing things in World 3 in preparation of the Classic Pack, and he was coloring things like this flag here in the Mountain Goat stage of the game. He then proceeded to explain that any transparent asset that was in the game would now be colored in, which would apply to things like the residents of the house in Squiggleville and the pipes in Outer Squiggleville. It was also mentioned that buffer jumps will now be added to Worlds 1 through 3, which, in case you don't know, means that pressing the jump key just a few frames before touching the ground will still allow you to jump. And lastly, these games will be converted from the coding language ActionScript 2 to ActionScript 3, which really doesn't mean much for people playing the game, but it essentially entails that the games will hopefully be a lot more stable and can all be launched on a single application, as confirmed by Two Left Thumbs here. Oh, also, I didn't really know where to put this part in the video, but before the trailer even dropped, there was a post made on Newgrounds from Two Left Thumbs about an art contest focused around the game. Basically, you can submit your Fancy Pants artwork as an entry, and the winners of the contest will get their drawings added to Steam as an unlockable trading card, which I think is pretty neat. And there you have it, that's everything you need to know about the Classic Pack trailer. And now you should have a college degree in the Classic Pack like I do. Yeah, I'm proud of this thing. But now I just kind of want to go like slightly off the cuff here, and I kind of want to just discuss my personal feelings about the game. So the first thing I want to mention is that this game isn't a remaster, which is kind of disappointing, but like it kind of makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously it's so much easier just to like repackage the Flash games. Like the games themselves are like perfect on their own, besides like, you know, Flash stuff. But I don't know, it would have been nice if like more of them were remasters or like remixes. I don't know. Might be asking a little bit much for the $10 price point they're probably going to charge, but you know. Also, in addition to that, there's no widescreen support. I don't even know where to begin with this one. Okay, so I understand, all right. Yeah, it's probably they're converting the games to AS3, so it's probably like a little hard to implement that. I don't know. According to like the guy Two Left Thumbs, he said that it would be a little hard to implement widescreen for whatever reason. I don't see where that's coming from. If you play the game in like Flash Player, like you can see the gray edges. I don't know. It seems like you could literally just like update the background and like make it wider, move the UI a little bit. I don't know. It's just a little weird. That's all I'm saying. But there is like good things about the Classic Pack. For one, 60 FPS support. That is amazing. That might not seem like a big deal, like it wasn't even in the trailer, but believe me, that's gonna be amazing. It's gonna look super smooth. Especially like World 3. World 3 needed 60 FPS the most, but all the games really needed 60 FPS. That's just gonna be really cool. And now we kind of like get back to like the kind of bad stuff. So World 1 Remix, the Flash version, that's not included for whatever reason. Again, I get why, kind of. It's kind of like Nintendo, like with the 3D All-Stars game, they repackage old games with like little improvements, some quality of life stuff. But like, just like go out and redo the, like, you don't have to remaster it really, but just kind of like redo the essential stuff that needs to be, I don't know. It's really weird, but the original World 1 remix should definitely be included. There's no question about it. I don't really know why. Besides, it kind of makes sense because like the remaster of the remix is already in there, so why have two versions? But it's kind of, I don't know. It's a bit annoying. That's all I'm saying. Now for the final part. Is it worth it? Okay, so really it all depends on the price, and I just learned right now in the Discord that the game's gonna be $10 USD. So like, yeah, I think that's a pretty good price for like what it is. It's a bunch of games, you know, it's a collection of all these games. I think they're worth the money, but they were released for free on Flash, so like, I don't know. They're free Flash games. Like, I don't really know why you charge for that. What about like the Henry Stickmin collection or something? That was like $15 or something, I think. And like they were remasters of the games. You know, that's worth the money because it's brand new games from the ground up. It's not old Flash games. They are old Flash games, but they're, you know, they're remade more so than the ones we're getting. But again, this is $10, not $15 to $20 games like the Henry Stickmin collection. So here's my final verdict. Is it worth it? Yes, I'd say it is. I'm obviously a Fancy Pants fanboy over here. I'm trying to give my unbiased response here, obviously, but I do think the games are worth it. They're good games, you know. You'll have a good time with those, what I'm saying. I think the improvements aren't justifiable to spend $10, but the games themselves, you know, they're good games. Of course, you could always just like play the games on Flashpoint for free and widescreen with like little imperfections. But, I don't know, 60 FPS, I think that's like a really big deal, in my opinion, I don't know. And also, if it includes the World 2 Remaster, which like is totally possible, like that was a future game that's coming up, I don't know if I mentioned in the video, I'm too lazy to look. I think that could be a worthwhile deal, if they include that at least. And if it's exclusive to the game, that's even more of a reason to get it. Although, he'll probably end up charging more for the game if he includes that, but you know, we'll see what happens. And since you stuck to the end of this video, I want to mention something really important. I'm not mentioning it. It's a full-fledged announcement. So I'm going to be releasing a 2-part series. It's going to be called The Fancy Pants Speedrunning Iceberg Explained. I know that probably sounds like absolutely nothing, but I've spent like 5 or 6 months on this video. I think it's going to be really good. I'm basically just going to explain like all this lore from like the Fancy Pants series. I can't give a specific release date. I think it's going to be like a couple months from now maybe. It's pretty far into production, but it's taking a little bit. And especially now that I had to make this video, I had to delay it a little bit. But trust me, it is coming. It's going to be very poggers. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. I don't have an outro.